Well, hello everyone. I am Marian and welcome to this week's Obsession. This is a podcast where I talk about things outside law school that are fun and new to stay sane with the readings and handwritten notes that we need to do. Recent update about law school. I've been handwriting my notes recently for this one subject, as well as playing tennis, so my right hand has definitely seen better days. This is actually very related to our topic for today, or this week's obsession, which is tennis. Yippee! So if you don't know me, I post a lot of stories of me playing tennis, and that's something that I do daily nowadays with my father. And it's very interesting how there's quite a rise of tennis popularity recently, because we have our own Philippine star, which is Alex Ayala, who is now 56th in the world, as well as the rise of the new big two, or the top tennis players in the world competing against each other, Carlos Alcaraz and Yannick Sinner, in their recent amazing, very thrilling finals in the Roland Garros. And this is something that is quite compared with the golden age of tennis, where Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, which is considered the big three, where they were dominating the tournaments, and it was quite an exciting time. So I'll be mostly talking about why I fucking love tennis and how it has changed me, the pros. Let's just say I love tennis now, and I have also this history of not liking tennis because of my past, like competing or doing it as a way to like please my parents, who had sort of like pushed me towards tennis, but now currently enjoying it, loving it, and doing it as a hobby instead. And some pros, obviously, and as well as a brief comparison in tennis versus other sports like pickleball, and perhaps a few tips on how to get better at tennis from a former competitive tennis player like me. Alright, so let's start on why I fucking love tennis, right? There are many pros to tennis. Firstly, like, it's not boring. You have so much to learn, I swear. Like, despite knowing tennis at such a young age, when I was like 10, until now, I still have so much to learn in terms of how to do drop shots, how to do slices. My serve isn't that polished yet, and it's generally like you constantly need to improve yourself. And when I play games, for example, I really realized that what I do during practice hits, or like rallies or casual rallies with my sister or with my father, it's very much different from when I play tennis in a game with other people who are not going to give me the shots that I want, who are going to make me run to the other end of the court, right, just so I can score a point. So that's my first pro. That firstly, it is not boring, it is exciting, especially when you play matches with higher level players. In fact, like, observing games from afar is actually also quite exciting too, because you realize that, hey, like, they could have done better if they did this, or netting is actually a useful skill. So that's why I've been learning netting as well. My second pro of why I fucking love tennis is that the social aspect of it. You're gonna have at least one other player in the other end of the court, or three other players if you're playing doubles, and you make connections with other people through it. I'm sure you can make connections in other sports too, like basketball and like golf, right? But you're basically like hitting two birds with one stone. Tennis itself is exciting. You get to interact with the ball. I don't know how to describe it, but let's just say that I have made friends because of tennis, and we could share on this love for this sport that demands a lot of athletic skill and endurance. Not only that, it's going to be my third pro on why I love tennis, and it's more of also like maybe why tennis is so scary and at the same time exciting, is that it is more often than not a psychological game when you're playing a match. I've experienced multiple matches in the past as a former competitive player where I was leading 5-1 with my partner, and then all of a sudden they beat us 8-6. And that has also happened in my recent games where we started off really strong, but then we would get beaten by an opponent just because they had more grit, they had the endurance, and my mental game was off. Because once a player starts like hitting good points against you, or when you start to feel like your game is not the best, then it sort of feels like, like the end of the world. You're the only one there. You can't really talk to another person. You're just, well, maybe you could talk to your partner, but not for long, right? So you're sort of like panicking, having a deep mental breakdown, or like having a fight with yourself, trying to convince yourself that you can do it while you are playing a game. And that's why I actually really love playing games. So another example on why it's a psychological game for me is that when I play tennis and when my family is watching, I tend to perform worse. So compared to when I play rallies with my father, I play so well. The balls are just like at the edge of the net. And versus when I play a game where I notice that I don't even follow through with my movement, I actually tend to like play it safe, and my balls are, as a result, not as strong. So to summarize, tennis is exciting, tennis is social, and tennis is a psychological game. So those are why I fucking love tennis, right? But let's dive shortly on how I learned tennis, my history of tennis as coming from a tennis family, how I competed regionally. I didn't get to go nationally compared to my siblings, but yeah, and now my newfound appreciation for it in UP Diliman, where there are actually tennis courts and you get to play for free if you are a student. As for my history on how I started tennis, is that firstly, I remember taking summer camps as early as 10 or 11. Naturally, if your family members are all tennis players, you are sort of pushed into that field or sport as well. So I was pushed into learning tennis by my family against my will at the start, and it sort of became my extracurricular as well coming into high school. But as early as probably 8 or 9, I was already observing tennis with my family. I went to tennis courts, observing my dad and seeing him like play games already. But I didn't really take note of that because that wasn't my passion yet by that time. So grade 6, I did my first tournament and lost. I think I think I was just like second or so place. I was fighting with someone who was better than me, and I didn't get into regionals, even though my sister and my brother, they really went up there when they were at that age, right? But come junior high, at grade 7 and until grade 10, I actually ended up going to regionals twice. I also lost twice, I believe, and like that experience was in a way stressful for me because my siblings actually went up to nationals, but then tennis at that time was not my passion, so I definitely did not work as hard as them. I would only practice if it was near the tournament, and I would perform worse because there was so much pressure into getting a medal or to getting to nationals, which was expected, right? Which is sort of this big expectation from a tennis family. But I didn't get to do it. At most, I got a bronze with my partner at that time. And despite that, I'm here and I love tennis. So yeah, and when I came to law school, yeah, we're skipping undergrad because I didn't really get to play it at all there. So I had like a very huge hiatus during the pandemic. I didn't really play tennis at all during senior high as well. And when I came into law school, when I came into UP, I was like, is that a tennis court? And so I go there, I inquire, I actually end up playing, having like this one-on-one rally with Coach Ray, Papa Ray, and he was surprised that I was still had the moves, that I was pretty good at it. And I was like, yes, I competed. And then, yeah, the problem with having coaches to play with is that you tend to spend a lot, like around 350 to 500. So I went around searching for people to play with, and I've actually found more people to play with in law school, right? It's quite amazing how there are actually more people out there that are willing to learn, that have some sort of like knowledge on tennis, and that you can also learn from them, or they can also learn from you. So that's the social aspect of it, actually. And I compare this to other sports like pickleball or like badminton and table tennis, which I also know how to do. And sure, well, I actually don't know how to play pickleball just yet, but I am gonna play it very soon. And I have to say that I don't have the same excitement of pickleball, right? Or maybe it's like a pride thing as a tennis player, is that it's just not as exciting for me. Like you're very limited in what you could do. Same for badminton and table tennis. Like, I am through and through a tennis player. So quickly, how do you get better at tennis? Well, recently I've been watching a lot of videos by, I forgot his name, the coach of Serena Williams. You could just search it up. He has really a bunch of videos on short form content on how to get better, how to serve, and that's mostly what I watch. But there are also a lot of free content on tennis online. Just search it up on YouTube. And while it is very helpful, to see fundamental aspects that I tend to miss just relying on my instinct, such as where to position when I'm netting and all that, I think it's always better to learn by playing. So doing these matches and games with higher level players, old people, definitely helps. And having my dad willing to bring me out there and hit the ball with me like makes me more confident in my game. But I do understand, and that this is a very high drawback, the cons of tennis, and is my major con, is that it is inaccessible, especially in Manila. There aren't a lot of courts out there, and if there are, well, yeah, you need to pay so much and reserve and all that, especially since tennis is becoming more popular recently. But we do have options such as the UP Diliman tennis court, which you can just find another UP player to play with. And even if you're not a UP player or a UP student rather, you could just pay 120, right? It's 100. No, it's 150 for half court, and if you're four people, it's like 300. So, and you split that between you guys. So it's a pretty good deal as long as you find other people to play with. And also the cost of tennis, like having a racket is so expensive, especially a good one. Like it could cost as high as 13K if you really want to get into it. And I understand that for a hobby, that's very expensive. But if you know me, I'm always willing to lend you my racket. I'm always willing to teach you or play, especially if I have the time, which I hopefully will still have by next sem. So yeah, that's why I fucking love tennis. That's a little bit of history on how I got into tennis and my newfound appreciation of tennis as a hobby and something that keeps me fit, and a little bit of tips on how to get better by knowing and by doing and by playing. So that's the episode. I hope you enjoyed listening to me rant about tennis for a long time, and I hope to play with you soon. Bye bye!